Napoleon Hill once said, "Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit." And we couldn't agree more. This is Lift Me Up. We're here to have candid conversations about something we all face: trials and heartache. We're here to explore the positives that emerge from these things. We have a blast. Remember, no matter how tough things may seem, there's always a way to rise above. This is Lift Me Up.
Welcome back to Lift Me Up for this week's episode. We are excited to have you all and listening along with us. We got to get better at that.
You know what? Like that was not high energy. That was
I'm gonna go take a class on how to open a podcast.
After 3 years of doing this.
Yes. Yeah. That's why we do it the way we do it, to be truthfully honest. This is who we are.
This is who we are. Awkward and raw. That's what we do. Oh my goodness. Well, I got to remember, I remember on the last episode, somebody said to me, "Quit twisting your chair." So I'm gonna try to sit still today. I mean, I lock it in. I don't think there's a lock on the twisting part. If I just suddenly start shrinking, you know that I hit the wrong button. Just woo. That would be frightfully awkward. But
you need to come get one of our original chairs that I still have left.
You know what? That's probably the case. Yeah, that is probably true. So just a just so everybody knows, I'm sitting in my office at home, and at any moment you're going to hear my Bamboo Lab 3D printer, not sponsored, but we'd love for you to sponsor us. You're going to hear a project on my printer that's going to end any moment. So if you hear that, do you hear that? It literally just went, dude, that's crazy. Talk about timing. Anyway, so the printer's done, and now we can continue to record. So anyway, well, should we kick it off? We got Jerome here. We're going to give Jerome a chance to kind of tell us a little bit about himself and introduce here as we go through, but we got to kick it off like we normally do with our Lift Me Up. So
you betcha.
Is this a rock, paper, scissors moment of you went first a couple weeks ago, but you got one?
Well, whatever I'm good with whatever, Nate. If
all right,
you need to think a little bit more.
No, you go. Mine's going to be stop twisting.
Yeah. So mine is more of, I don't remember if I've ever talked about this, and it's nothing real crazy, but one of my favorite things is acts of service. And we've talked about how we grew up, it's all in who you know and not what you know necessarily sometimes. And we had a neighbor that he knew that with where I work, we have supplies for sprinklers and things like that. Well, he had some issues with his. I helped him get some new parts. And then he had one other piece break that he was like, "What do I do here?" Because it was a whole piece that needed to be put together. And I was like, He's like, "Just send me the money. I'll come out and I'll, come out with a coworker of mine. We'll just quickly replace it." So something for me, I enjoy being that value to somebody else. It lifts me up, hopefully as much as they do, but I just enjoy being able to provide a service and a value. And I think that's why I enjoy the type of sales that I do. Is I'm not just trying to sell product. I'm trying to, benefit someone's business. That's how I look at it. And so for me, the people around me, if I can find a way to help them, it's enjoyable to me. I really, really enjoy it. So that was my Lift Me Up, is I was able to help someone in need, if you will, and that they didn't have the connections to do so. And I did. And so it worked out. And so it was something I really enjoy to do. So that was mine.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's how we were raised, is the way to find ways to help support people. And quite frankly, we never know what other people are navigating in life and going through. So finding ways to do it, sometimes it's not the biggest thing, but it could be a gigantic impact on their life. So that's awesome. Mine's a little, sometimes I think that we undervalue the relationships that we have in our life with people. I think I certainly I think we get complacent at relationships, right? I think it's really, really easy to do that. And I had an idea. I was kind of, before we hit record, and Jerome, before you jumped on, I was telling Mike, like, sometime recently gone through some stuff that my mind just unlocked. And it's been, honestly, weirdly enough, it's been exhausting because I'm just like, my mind is like on overdrive of all these ideas and stuff that I've got, which is like a really, really cool feeling. But sometimes some of the ideas I have, I realize that I can't execute those. I don't possess the ability. Like I have what's there, but I don't know how to take it from, it needs to go A to Z. And I only know how to get it from A to like S. And I need somebody to be able to help me figure out how to do the rest of it. And I just so happened to have a guy that I used to work with, who I had an idea. I called him up and I said, hey, look, I don't know what this will do. I shared with him the idea, and he goes, holy cow, that's a great idea. I said, look, I've built A through S. Here it is. I'll send you what I've got. I said, I need a partner that can just take it the rest of the way, and then let's see where this thing goes. I said, this is one of those that you just kind of just have to sit and sink time and money into until you see what happens with it, right? And he was 100% on board. And I said, are you sure? And he goes, dude, a chance to work with you again would be awesome. And I was like, oh man, that means so much. Like when you hear that happen, like when you hear that from people, like that like hits you right in the heart, and means a lot when you feel like you've done the right thing by people and with people. So that was my lift me up, is the subtle, partnerships that exist because, apparently we were doing it right at some point, and somebody was a true partner in that type of stuff. So that was my lift me up. They lifted me, absolutely lifted me.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, Jerome.
Ooh, this is fun,
baby. I want to hear what you got and get into it, my man. Let's hear it.
My lift me up moment. I'm always surprised at how people like view me. I am always surprised. So I'm just me all the time. I don't try to sugarcoat it. I don't try to change anything. I walk into situations. You know what I mean? If I help you, great. If I can't help you, I'll let you know I can't help you and move on. And I'm in commercial construction, and it's all about who you know. And for some odd reason, I am the guy to know. And that has been the funniest thing over the last 10 years. And this week, talked to several people because I'm in a process of making a hard decision. And, I'm calling friends for advice, and they're giving me their advice. And one friend, he stops me. He goes, what can I do to come back to work with you again? And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, we were at a dumpster fire together. He goes, dude, you make that dumpster fire completely manageable. He says, when the pressure was there, he says, I ran to Jerome. Jerome was like, chill out. We got this. And he's like, you got 20 of us who will drop what we're doing and come work wherever you work. So what's going on here? Like you got your crew. And I was like, I don't have a crew. Stop that. But it was kind of for me. This guy, he knows me. He knows me pretty well. It's been 10, 12 years. We've worked together twice. And he said, out of everybody I've ever worked with, he says, somebody who stands on business, somebody who has that integrity, somebody who's not afraid to just speak up, you're always there. So, and that really kind of took me by surprise, because I was like, I thought people just view me as Jerome. You know what I mean? The guy that if I need something, call Jerome. That's been the that was my moment of the week. I had to sit back and realize this is more than just about me.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, Jerome and I know each other. Whew. Let's see, how long's it been?
It's almost 20. It's 19. Next year, maybe 20 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time. It's been a long time. And I don't know. Do you want to kick it off? Do you want to tell how we met? And then get into a little bit about you, and let's dive into the world of Jerome.
All right. So, how I know Mr. Nate? Nate was I'm gonna say I had to put you at number 3 now because I got 2 other bosses who are just above you, man.
That's okay.
He was my boss at the Men's Warehouse, and he had to deal with knucklehead Jerome. See, everybody has these different phases of life. He had to deal with knucklehead Jerome, and that was an adventure by itself. But the fact that his grace and love that we still talk to this day, and I still run to Nate to this day if I need something, it is just amazing. So Nate, you're like the big bro that, wait a minute, who's older, me or you? I think you're older, right? Okay.
I'm older. Yeah.
No, you're not. I think I am.
What
Anyway,
year, what year were you born?
82.
Yeah. 2 years older
Nate's
than
older.
Okay. So
you. I
I
got
could.
you.
He looks better. So that's the reason why I was I was trying to kind of confused on that.
Oh,
Um,
man.
but seriously, you're like the big brother that I sit back and I watch and I go, if Nate can do it, I can do it. You know what I mean? I think that's why I got married in the first place, is because I was like, well, if Nate can do it, I can do it. Bro, you should have warned me about some of the craziness.
Yeah, it exists, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, that was this has been what 20 something years, 20 something years. You know what I mean? I remember your oldest daughter was a baby, right?
A baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now just turned 22. Yeah. So kind of crazy.
Yep.
Kind of crazy. And I will say, like, I've had a lot of opportunity to be there as a leader for a lot of different people. I don't think at the time when Jerome and I first met that I was a leader. I think I was just a manager. I think there was a difference. Now, you may look at it a little different. I think from my view is I was trying to be somebody, I was trying to find who I was, right? I think that was a lot in that case. That whole situation was, I got thrown into it and we had to learn through it. And I will say, of the people I've had the opportunity to connect with throughout my life, Jerome is one of those that I have been more proud, and I carry more in my heart for this man than many others that I've ever had a chance to be associated with. And it's because of the desire to actually, and I'm going to use this word in this way because I think it's applicable. I think you inflict heart. When I say inflict, I think you do it with purpose and passion. And you do it in a way that is designed to be meaningful for people. And when I think of the word inflict, you think of inflicting pain. I think you inflict heart. And I think that's why you've got, like you said, and you're lifting me up. That's why you have those people that want to work with you, is because of that learning and what you've been able to develop as a leader. And that's what it is. So I'm super happy to have you on here. I'm excited for everybody to hear an evolution of story. For those that don't know about, this would have been 2020. I had another podcast with a friend of mine, and that one kind of fell apart when our mom got sick with cancer, and it just kind of dissolved. And anyhow, so what's interesting about that is Jerome came on that one, and we had a great conversation. I've actually found the episode, and I was listening through it, and I was like, dude, it's very different platform and all the things we do now versus then. And I don't think we had video recording at the time. I think we did video, but we didn't do video, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really excited to have you on video for this one and get it out to a bigger audience than we had before. So anyways, so that's the story of how we met, and just super, super proud of what you've become. It's exciting.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
So tell us the story. So tell us about you, Jerome. Tell us your origin story.
All right. The backstory to Villa story. No, so originally I'm from Chicago, Illinois. Grew up in the South Burbs. I tell everybody all the time, I have a different upbringing. My grandmother raised me. So having a boomer grandmother, and I hate to use that term boomer, but that's what Granny was. Granny was a different beast. And my grandmother put a lot of things in me. So grew up in the Pentecostal church, really. But I have this thing that I always tell everybody, I was always an adventurer. I always want to get out and go anywhere. I am, Jerome, you want to go here? Yes. Jerome, you want to go there? Yes. So went away to college, had the experiences with college. I failed at college 3 different times. And it was not because I wasn't good enough for it. I didn't know what to do. I went to college without a purpose. I went to college because I was told I had to go. And so this kind of falls right into that path with when I met Nate. I finally kind of found my little passion, and it was construction. As I started doing, I was trying to balance keeping myself afloat, crazy girlfriend. I'm glad I didn't marry that one. And then trying to, try to keep, life stuff together and trying to figure out who I was. And I think that was a common theme during that time, Nate. All of us were trying to find out who we really were. I think all of us in that store were trying to figure out who we really were at that time, because I still talk to everybody, and everybody's life phases is so different now. But I'm going to fast forward just a little bit. I had a real 5 years of roughness trying to figure out everything else. But I thank God for that, because that actually taught me some other skills that I didn't know I had. We're gonna come to about 2014. 2014, I'm on my first really crazy construction project. What do you mean by crazy? It's a data center for Google, and it's in the middle of nowhere. I'm in Iowa. And if you've ever been to Iowa, I'm sorry. No, shout out to the people in Iowa. That there's somebody from Iowa that's going to complain, and I'm not talking bad about
we have family in Iowa. We have family there, so we got to be careful.
So do I. No, so I moved to Council. Well, I lived in Omaha, but the project was in Council Bluffs. This is my first kind of like, oh, you have to step up and actually be a leader. You actually have to step up and do some things. And I still wasn't ready. And I didn't fail miserably. I actually did. We actually did pretty well. But it's one of those things that I had to start learning. Hey, how do you actually be a leader? Because never really had. At that time, I thought I didn't have great leadership examples. And then I had to sit back and kind of start looking around. In that process, I met a girl, and then I moved to Colorado. She moved to Colorado. Then I moved to LA. Well, I moved to San Diego, and she looked at me and said, I'm not moving west until you put a ring on it. So I tried to stall that for as long as possible. But we eventually get married. We've moved around a bunch. But I kind of want to focus in on the last 6 years, because I think everybody forgets COVID is this last 6 years, right? And it felt like 25 years. It's been feeling like 25 years. And just a lot of growth has happened. I think the last time, Nate, you and I met up, I told you that we were pregnant.
Yep.
We had a bad miscarriage.
Oh.
And I felt bad because I couldn't help my wife. That's one of those things that sucks. You can't help your wife. And then I go into this whole thing. I didn't figure out how to grieve, right? And you know what we do when we don't know how to grieve? What do? Well, we close off and we go to work. So my wife will tell you at one point, I know there's going to be a former employer that sees this, and I'm going to have to explain myself eventually. But at one point, I worked 3 full-time jobs because I didn't want to be at home. So I had my main job, had a secondary job over here, and I had a side hustle over here. And I was like, you know what? I don't have to be at home and deal with this and everything else. Eventually, God's going to make you deal with that. God has to, I'm going to say the moments, and, excuse me if it's out of context, but a lot of my journey, I've had to kind of turn back to God and say, hey, look, I need you. Help me out. And so it was kind of funny. I was in the car. I'll never forget this. I bought a Mustang for my 40th birthday.
I remember that. I remember you telling me that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I bought a Mustang because you know what? I really wanted, and the sad part is I should have just waited, but I really wanted a Mustang. And I bought this Mustang and I was driving it, and it's Seattle. So you're not really driving a Mustang unless it's sunny. And for some odd reason, it said it was sunny in the morning, and then it started raining. And I was sitting there, and I was just sitting on the side of the road, and I was just kind of trying to figure out where I was going. And I started crying. And I was like, okay, God, I can't hold on much longer. This has been 2 years at this point. I can't hold on much longer. I can't keep this in here. And it's also stagnating it's starting to show bad in other parts of my life. What are we going to do? It was kind of funny. I heard an advertisement for BetterHelp on the radio. It was a podcast I was listening to had an advertisement for BetterHelp. I was like, you know what? Maybe I need to go back to counseling, because I used counseling before to figure out some other issues. And now maybe it's time to go back and actually work through these things. So I went through grief counseling, went through levels of, hey, let's actually redefine who Jerome is. I tell everybody all the time, if you need Jesus and a therapist, and those things have to work in conjunction. If you don't use those things in conjunction, it's not going to work. And luckily I had a strong community of people who were behind me. And that's one thing I always tell everybody, have your big community. If you don't have a community, you're going to fail. And so I was very open with my community about the mental struggles and everything else. My wife, very supportive. I told her about all these things, and she was very big. Go, just go, just go, just go. Well, let's actually fast forward a little bit more. We're in this whole phase where everything is just busy. Everything is just completely busy between her career, my career. I'm on a plane every week. Even right now, I'm on a plane almost every week, every other week, and it's because just the way the business is. I had a friend who I'm not gonna call him. Yeah, I'm gonna call him a friend because I like him a lot. We were at work and we were talking about. He brought up another employee, and he's bringing up all these things that this employee was doing. You know how when they talk about somebody else, they think you think you're talking about you, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
for real.
and I was like, man, who are we talking about? Did he say the name? And I was like, oh. I was like, oh, okay. And when we got done, I called my therapist and said, hey man, can I get an ADHD check? Can we start working through? Because I think I'm showing these symptoms. And it was kind of funny. I got diagnosed with the weirdest combination. And the weirdest combination of all, I came out with severe anxiety, ADHD, and then obsessive OCD.
Wow.
And I said, hold on, I'm not Sheldon Cooper. So let's actually let's explain this out, because when you think of OCD, you think about that guy.
Yeah.
You don't think about the other things. And a lot of this has come up, and he says you probably had it all your life, but he says you grew up in an environment where you've had to learn certain rules of society to function, learn, and everything else. And then he says you also have to throw in the fact your grandmother, she did a great job raising you, but she didn't do a great job of teaching you how to cope and move forward. And she said, and he's like, the thing with obsessive OCD, you will sit there and cripple yourself about a decision. I was like, ooh, yep, you hit it right on the head. So that's been my newest thing to work on, is that whole phase of thing. I got the anxiety thing, right? The ADHD, we're working on that too. But the OCD has been a big kind of like, okay, I will stop myself in extreme moments because I realize that stuff comes out in the moments of stress. I'll stop myself and kind of say, okay, this ain't worth my mental, what I mean? I got a capacity that I hit, I'm done. But it's always this thing of, what I mean? I got a friend, he's a PhD guy at Seattle University. I'll send him a text. Hey, I'm having that moment again. I'm having a Jerome. We call it Jerome moments, and we call it Jerome moments. And he goes, "Okay, what's up with Jerome moment now?" And it's just we'll kind of text through it, but it's having the resource to kind of get out there. So yeah, the mental health thing is been the biggest, I think, the game changer for me, because it's changed my performance in all aspects of my life. It's teaching me to be more authentic. You know what I mean? I don't have to be Superman. I don't have to be, what I mean? Mental health, especially in my community, is like, oh, you just need my grandmother told me I just need to pay attention and study more. My mother was like, I knew something was wrong with you, I just couldn't figure it out. Here we are, as an adult, about to turn 44, and now figuring out all these little nuances that I probably should have figured out when I was younger.
Yeah. What do you think has been the most challenging of all of what, that component of time that you just explained? And I know that you fast forward and you're like, all right, this 6 years of this COVID part, and now this like element of self-realization and like, I think acceptance, right? I mean, that's probably one of those that we hear most often is probably the hardest thing, is to accept that I'm not perfect and I do have something that I need to deal with. What has been the most impactful part of your learning and through that experience?
There's a minister that I know. He's going to see this. Shout out. I got to shout him out a little bit. Doug Lovegren down in San Diego. He said this, and it's always stuck in the back of my head. We are imperfect people trying to serve a perfect Savior. When I finally accepted that ideal, that I am not perfect, I've never been perfect, I'm not Jesus. There's okay to be broken. It's okay not to have it all together, but it's also okay to be working towards those things. Like, you're always going to have something to work on. And that's been the fun part. I've actually turned this into more of a stop being upset about it and actually, hey, this is a new piece of the puzzle. How can I turn this into something else? You know what I mean? And that's been the steamroll behind. But I think that statement and being authentic have been the two big things there, because I noticed that when I'm telling this to someone else, they're going, hey, I got the same issue, or hey, I'm dealing with the same thing. I got a buddy who, what I mean, this guy, He says, with me being more authentic with him about some things I was having some troubles personally, he says, he called me when his wife was about to walk out on me. He calls me. You know what I mean? I know he's going to see this. Don't worry. I'll keep your name anonymous, but he calls me and he's sitting in the car at a Home Depot and we're just talking through it. And he says, just because you're willing to just stop and do, he says, that just shows me that you are that resource.
Yeah.
I find something interesting. I don't know where I've seen this, but I've seen it a couple different times, like probably on LinkedIn or something like that. But it gave the example of a lot of these successful people that became millionaires. And I'm not saying that we're going to become millionaires, but they actually didn't produce the product or the brand that they became famous for until they were about the 40 age, right? A lot of these were in their 40s. And so I kind of find a weird correlation with all this conversation that we're having is that because I'm almost there is how life really develops and you can actually take that timeline and see the growth that you had at each stage and to get you to where you're at and a better understanding of who you are. My career wise, I look back at all my jobs that I've had, every single one was a stepping stone to get to where I currently am, in which is what I love the most is this type of sales that I do now. So it's
in construction.
No, yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, Jerome, he can hook you up with some stuff, my man.
So it's interesting. I mean, it's just talking about it and then in the business world and things like that, there's something about understanding yourself and you have to work at it to get there. And you took the time to work at it over the years. Faith sounded like it was a great resource for you and understanding your own mental health. I mean, all of those things play a big role. And if we're not willing to put that effort in, it may take a little bit longer. You may figure it out at 50. But like realistically, I do think that there's this prime age that you actually tend to figure out who you are and where you want to be, around that time frame. So it's just kind of a cool correlation, I think.
Well, I think you also evolve. And I think I was like, my health has also been a big part recently and in the past couple of years. Everybody knows me as the big jolly guy, right? Nate, I think the last time you saw me, I was about 420, 430. I was on the weight loss journey then. I'm down to about 280 right now.
Incredible.
And that's just been, everybody says, so what do you do different? What are you doing different? What are you doing different? I went and got help. You know what I mean? I went and got medical help. I went and got, to talk to my doctors and we came up with a game plan. I'm a big game plan person. I take that, the same thing I do in my personal life, I take it to work too. And it actually, I didn't realize how these things actually work until you kind of go, oh, wait a minute, I've been doing that all along. So here we are. But I got a game plan together. You know what I mean? I got into a routine. I see what fails. I'm big on, I like to learn from failures. Failures aren't really failures. They're just learning moments. They can tweak it from there. I learned very quickly. CrossFit isn't the thing for a guy of my size.
Don't tell Michelle. Don't come up to Idle Falls and tell Michelle.
I said of my size. Now, powerlifting, Olympic lifting, to a totally different story. But I also realized doing a high rocks isn't the smartest thing. I tried to prep for a high rocks and actually hurt my shoulder, and it's been a very weird, trying to get back to normal. But you know what I mean? I look at all those things. I want to do all what the popular people were doing, and then I was like, none of those work for me. What works for Jerome? Jerome, discipline, getting up, going to the gym at 5 a.m., working out till 6:30. You know what I mean? Eating a certain way, having a meal plan. All this sounds boring. My daughter calls me the most boring person she knows now. I don't drink. I don't go out. I don't do people question my religious affiliation because of all the things I say no to now. And they kind of go, wait a minute, well, this ain't the Jerome I know. This ain't the Jerome I know. Like, Jerome would rather sit at home. Like, you know what I do? If I showed you my backyard right now, I come home, everything I need is at home. I like to sit out and grill. I like to chill in my backyard. I got my 2 dogs. I'd rather eat at home. I don't have to go out.
Yeah.
I think I've never said that publicly. Do not. I've already let the cat out the bag on that one. No, but everybody calls it discipline. It's called evolution. Like, there's nothing, as the young folks say, there's nothing out in these streets. There's nothing really else out there. I mean, everything I need is right here. If I want to hang out with you guys, I'd rather say, hey, let's go to one of our houses than to go to a bar or something. Except if we're going to golf. That's my other obsession now.
Hey,
Baby.
you're in the club.
All right.
You're in the club.
Yeah. I mean, look at this. My hat says caddy. I'm wearing my FootJoy and my Peter Millar, and good night, man.
I am on the course. Like right now, it's too well. Take that back. Tomorrow we're going tomorrow morning because it's actually going to be cool tomorrow morning.
Where are you going?
Las Colinas.
Dude, that was our course. That's where we lived. That's right where we lived. We lived right down by where the new Home Depot is, right down there.
Yeah.
That's where we lived, is right over there.
So I'm basically Sosaman and Rittenhouse. So I'm right down the street. Yeah.
That's right where I was. I love that course. Mike and I have played that several times. He came down and played with me all the time. I will still contest that hitting over that lake on that par 5, that dogleg left, is not an easy one to hit.
Nope.
For what it is. Shout out Las Colinas. Still get their emails.
You know what? I love that course. The other course I could go to a lot is actually, and it's Weekapa. And I have to take.
Yeah.
I always say to a client, if you want to go, I'll take you. That is, you want to go, I'm going to go to Weekapa, but don't do it on a 115-degree day.
No. There's no trees.
No, there's no shade out there at all. The only place I've been recently that kicked my butt, last weekend, we were at Longbow. Longbow kicked.
I don't know if you can tell, but I think I'm wearing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the hat. So anyway,
that's awesome. Sorry, we went on a golf tape. That's the other part too. I'm finding these things out that I didn't even know I loved before. And I was like, I moved to Arizona. I was like, what do you do down here? And all of a sudden, within 6 months, my wife goes, "You spent so much money on golf."
Got it.
Yep, Mike and I have been there.
You can
and still
easily
live there.
get us off on a tangent of golf. Don't worry about that.
But yeah, so that's my other big, like, I've gotten her into it. It's really funny, but that's been my big like, okay, if I really needed to get out, if I really need to do something else besides being at the gym or being at home or being in meetings, being on the flight, I'm going to book that tee time. And I told anybody, look, you don't have to pay for it. Just come play. I just want the company. And so that's what we've been doing. A bunch of us have kind of started this whole thing of, we'll go to somebody's course that they want to go to and we'll just kind of go. The ranch has been my other heartache. I hate the greens there, but I love my friend, that's the course he just loves to be at. And he's an older guy. He's in his 70s. He's like, and he lives, I think, right there too. So for him, it's like, you know what I mean? He drives his golf cart over. He has a Cadillac golf cart. That's the best golf cart I've ever seen in my life. Oh,
well,
have fun.
I've got one course for you to go play, and that is, if you haven't played it already, Dinosaur Mountain in Gold Canyon.
Done it.
The most picturesque and beautiful course in all of Phoenix Valley, period. I don't think you could. I've played Troon. I've played all of them. And that course, when you come around the back nine and you come in and drop, it is incredible.
Yep.
Absolutely incredible.
All right. I'm going to head out and go get a tee time.
I've got a week left, and then I swung a club yesterday in our warehouse, and it didn't hurt. So I've got about a week before I had elbow surgery,
right?
And I think we're in shape to be able to get out there. So nice. Mike and I, our dad lives down there now, so so we have a reason to come, more than just to come play golf with you.
Okay, I'm about to say you give me a heads up and I'll book the tee time. We'll just go. There's a couple new places I've been recently that I'm like, oh, this place isn't. The West Side is catching up. I don't like going to the West Side that much, but there's this place out in I think is it Sun City? It's on the other side of Sun City. It's in Surprise, I think. Brand new course. I loved every minute. That course it rivals Dinosaur on views. It is
okay.
Yeah, it's that great. Dinosaur is the first place I actually hit through a cactus. So just there's a whole story behind that one that we didn't even know. Yeah,
that's a flex. That's a flex is what that is.
I thought it was gonna get stuck, and they were like, "No, it went through. You actually made it through." And I was like, "That is hilarious." So, but no, guys. So like I said, golf. Like I said, I realized very quickly that is a big bonding thing, and if I'm trying to get more of my buddies to come out. I was like, guys from Chicago, I still talk to. Hey, man, come out and swing club. Man, I'm not going to swing club. Come on, man. You got to enjoy it. Now they're all staying. Last year, they were laughing at me. This year, they're like, oh, we get it. We get it.
Yep. So here's what's interesting. And I know like we're kind of falling in. That's the beautiful part about this podcast is we have no idea where it's going to go in this conversation. But I want to say something about that because I had somebody just recently say to me, we got talking about golf, and somebody said, "Well, why? I don't get it. I can't watch it. I don't get playing it. I don't understand why you like it." And I was like, "Really? Like, let me tell you." And you guys offer. I'm interested to hear from both of you as to what this is. Mike and I have had similar conversations to this, but maybe not to this level. I feel that golf is a mental release for me personally because it requires me to be within myself. I have to outwardly, I'm only competing with one person, and that's me, right? Even though Mike and Tom and Ian, we know that we're competing with each other, but in reality, like it's about how well I can do is really what it is, which makes it all that much more of a benefit to me because my mind has to be absolutely sharp and focused in order to execute what it is. It is a technical game and it can absolutely unmotivate you on one hole. And the next hole, you're like, okay, I remember why I love doing this. It's the feeling, it's the adrenaline, it's the what is it? The endorphin kick that happens when you have all those things happen for you. So that was the argument that I had was for me, I need it. You may not like if you've never played it, I get it. But once you do, there's a serenity to it. There's an outdoor element. There's just all these things that make it so perfect for my mental health. It really is. It's a mental health thing for me.
I have to agree with you on that. And I got to take it one step further. I've always been the kid that, like, my mother would tell you, my mother figured out eventually I was going to like golf because she says, you like Legos a lot. And she says, you like to put it together and deconstruct. So anytime I play, for me, I can laugh and joke and everything else, and I could snap in it and I'll get in the zone or whatever the case is. But I'm trying to figure out solutions. I'm trying to figure out, because like my short game still isn't the best. And probably in the last like 6 months, the consistency of striking the ball has been like my main focus. As long as I strike consistent, I'm good. Now we've worked on, okay, let's work short game. Let's work this other thing. But it's always these little micro things that you can break down. And that's for me, it's trying to figure out it's trying to figure out the problem. It's trying to figure out how to tweak. I will say this because I think it's hilarious. I wish I had my clubs in the house. They're actually out in the car. I got a buddy who started his own like he makes golf irons. He's a physicist and got into golf heavy. He lives in I'm gonna mess this up and he's gonna see this and talk about me. I want to say he lives in Sweden, but he could be Norway. Anyway, I'm trying to figure out how are they playing golf up there when it's cold all the time. But anyway, this guy, he says, hey, let me he says he basically watched me on the video, how I swing and everything else, and he made clubs custom for me, right? And he says, I want you to try these out, these irons, and let me know what you think. And I was like, this dude's crazy. These things ain't gonna work. First of all, he sent them, they're like rose gold. So it's basically a Jerome.
Yeah.
It looks like it's basically me. And then he changed the lengths because he noticed, he says, you have a problem striking at when you have to bend over way too much. He says, you have a problem with striking there. And he says, I'm trying to solve that problem. And you talk about difference in just, you know what I mean? Okay, here we are. And I was like, this is actually, for me, it's more like, okay, cool. Now let's make this better. Let's make this better. It goes into processes of even with life. Like me and my wife, we had a period where I don't think that we liked each other. And that's just, I think that's a period that everybody goes through being married. You just don't like each other for that 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, whatever. Right. And I kind of had to come back and say, okay, babe, I'm going to try this. And we start trying this. We try that date night, start small date nights. Hey, babe, we're going to go here. Hey, we're going to do that. there's a lot of great date night spots here in Arizona. So that has changed a lot of, even though our favorite spot is Jinya, which is a ramen place in Chandler, that is like our good go-to spot. But just changing little things and then communicating more and going, hey, can we actually have a talk about this? And it's just all those things change at work. Hey, I don't like this process. And I'm going to tell you why. This process is convoluted. It sucks. How about we just tweak it just a little bit? Let's get rid of 3 steps and let's see what happens. And that's been like, I'm very schedule driven. Mike, you probably understand this one. You probably hear guys like me calling and screaming all the time about schedule. And we get to the point sometimes in the commissioning process where we got to think outside the box. And one of the things I do, like I had a situation recently, I had to say, hey, how about we go out of sequence and come back? And everybody in the room was thrown off by the fact of, we're going to go out of sequence. Oh my gosh, you're mess with so much. I was like, trust me, we're fine. And everything else. Oh, we have a visitor. We have a visitor. Someone wanted to come say hi because she realized his dad is on the camera. This is Roxy. She's the one right there.
I remember, yeah.
You want to say hi to everybody?
What's up, Roxy?
Yeah, she came and busted in the office, and I was like, "What are you doing?" Bye, kid. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
I had to close the door, but no, it's stuff like that that I'm like, I take from golf. I just use it in real life, and it's just been so. For me, it's been relieving. It's just like, okay, cool. This is what you're going to use on a daily basis. But a lot of folks, I think they're now understanding the relaxation part of golf. The relaxation is you may have a bad round, you may have a bad hole, but boy, you're going to talk about the greatest stuff that you've done out there.
Yep. I love it. Mike, what about you? Why golf?
I love that this has turned into this. Actually, it's great. Honestly, the greatest thing for me too is the connection. There was a time that I am okay going by myself if I need to, just if nobody else can go. But 99% of the time, I'd prefer that there'd be somebody else there, like you were saying, Jerome. And the connection. I actually just went this last Monday with my best friend, and he had the day off, and we went and played around, and we literally, like afterwards, texted each other like, dude, that was one of the best rounds we could have ever had. And yes, we both played fairly well. He and I are close enough when it comes to playing that it's super fun, because yes, we play against ourselves, but we also
each other.
So he and I are always neck and neck when it comes to the score. I did win out this one. Just had to publicly put that out there.
My greatest thing is when I play with them and I beat both of them, which doesn't happen all that often, but it's a great moment. Anyway, Continue, Mike.
So anyway, the connection, the enjoyment that we didn't talk as much about the golf that we played, but the weather was perfect. The pace was pretty good. Just like the overall thing, we saw that and was like, that was probably one of our best rounds. We only played 9 holes. It was just short and quick, but it was so enjoyable. The time that we had together was the part that you look forward to. And I think that part of it is where the mental health for me comes into play, because I get so much enjoyment with interaction. And yeah, I think that's a big factor for me when it comes to golf, for sure, is the social aspect as well.
And
getting to razz each other a little when you shank one.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. You're like, ooh, you may want to give up. Or when you hit it through a cactus and you celebrate.
Yeah.
But isn't that the interesting part? And Jerome, you brought this, to kind of take it back to the beginning here. We have to recognize within ourselves the things that make us not just genuine and unique. And I do think Mike and I would 100% agree with you that the faith side of healing is important. I know there's people out there that listen to this that maybe don't share in that same idea of what faith means, but you have a savior for a reason. You have somebody that puts you, literally took everything upon himself to make sure that you have a method of healing. And when I think of what that is, everybody experiences pain differently. And there's only one person that's ever existed on this earth that has felt every bit of it. And, Mike wears a bracelet that has a cross on it. It's the simple and subtle reminders of the things that we endure, but we have a way to get through it. And I really appreciate you bringing that up because, I think when we first knew each other, that wasn't the case. Like there was more pain without understanding, and pain, manifests itself in a variety of ways in different people. And as maturity and as development comes into play, we learn about ourselves, and then we start to understand that it is okay to raise your hand and say, "Ooh, I'm not okay. Something's going on." And that's also important. And I want to touch on one more thing. Mike mentioned it. We go through this evolution of ourselves. And as I mentioned, at the very beginning, my lift me up, my mind at 45 years old has been unlocked. And it is, I've got a book coming out by the end of May. I've got all these things that are just like happening. And a lot of that didn't happen until some of the stuff that I had manifest in my life released. And it's like God just said, he's like doing his little wiring and he's like, boom, go. And
Finished.
I get, yeah, you're done. I literally get chills when I think about what that has played an impact in my life. And that's important. And I love that this conversation, Jerome, you know how much I love you. And that I think that fits the style of why we want to have these conversations. It's just so important. It's deep. It doesn't have to be overly deep, but man, it's deep in meaning.
I think there's a level of depthness too, because there are certain people that I know I can be deeper with than other people, and those people I spend a lot more time with because they know, okay, some with Jerome isn't right now, or I know something's not right with them. I think the one thing that we all have to realize in ourselves, what I mean, you met me at, I think I was 25, 24, 25. Jerome at 24, 25. I don't know if you remember this, but I love this skit because he brings up Dave Chappelle. He did a skit a long time ago where Dave at 18, 21,
Yes.
what I mean? It shows the different iterations. I wish I could do that with myself because I would miss the hair part of me first. But the different iterations of that, because Jerome at 18 and Jerome at 21 were two different people. Jerome at 21 and 25, definitely two different people. Jerome now looks at those idiots and kind of go, ooh, I don't take any, like, I don't like those guys, but I have to take responsibility for them. And I think that's the other thing too. I woke up, this is last birthday, because my last birthday we were traveling, and I woke up and I was like, first, my back hurt that day, which was the butt of all jokes. Second, it was more so of a, man, the stuff I'm seeing now, I never thought I would actually see. The peace I feel now is the stuff that I was searching for when I was younger, but didn't know exactly where to look. I guess you saw it recently. I went to the Grand Canyon recently.
Yeah, I saw that.
Mike, let me tell you, man. I always flew over it. I thought it was a hole in the ground. You know what I mean? And I always tell everybody that. I was like, I thought it was a big hole in the ground. I went to the Grand Canyon, and now I'm plotting how to hike to waterfalls in there. And I don't hike. So I'm trying to figure out how this is going to work. But the fact that I got to stand there and just look around, and three things jumped out at me. Number one, God's beauty in this. It was just gorgeous because the sun was just hitting right, and you see all the colors and everything else. But two, the experience and even though there was a bunch of people there, I didn't hear anybody. It was just in this moment, I'd never had this happen to me before. It was just like all these people around me. I don't care. I'm looking at what's in front of me, and it's breathtaking. And then three, I was like, wait a minute, I'm actually here. I'm actually here. Like, this is stuff that I've read in books. This is stuff that, what I mean? All this stuff that, what I mean? People get excited to go national parks about. I've never understand it. Now I get it. And so, and so we're like, my wife goes, oh crap, I've created a monster. So, what I mean? I want to go to Moab, and I'm trying to talk my bosses into having a retreat in so I can go see arches and all this other stuff. But I want to just like all these things are just like, these are new experiences, stuff that I never knew that unless I was there, I liked it.
It's interesting. You made me think of something. I saw on social media an interview that Jimmy Fallon was doing with an actor. Jimmy Fallon's question to the actor was, "I heard you recently got rid of all your social media. What was that all about?" And he said, "I was scrolling on my phone and I came across a gentleman that was posting a photo of Mount Everest. He posted a photo of him on Mount Everest, and it made him mad." And he said, and of course, everybody's like, why would you be mad about a guy posting a photo of Mount Everest and being like the beauty and all of that? And he goes, "It made me realize that I'm wasting my life. I don't deserve to see that. I don't deserve to see the top of Mount Everest because I didn't work for it. I didn't step over the bodies. I didn't climb the mountain. I didn't do all the stuff that needed to exist for me to be able to see the top of Mount Everest. So I got rid of it all. And I refocused my life on completing the things that I have always said I would do and I've never done." And I'm like, holy cow. Like, you talk about, I'm actually here. I'm actually looking at the Grand Canyon. I'm actually seeing this. I remember as a kid, the Tetons. One of the biggest things for our church group was to go on, to a scout camp, right? A camp, and you would hike a portion of the Tetons called Table Rock. Oh my gosh, it was a hard hike. As a kid that I'm like 14, I'm like, this is crazy. No, it was hard at 14. I couldn't imagine doing it now. I mean, I'm sure I go up there now and I'm like, that was it? Like, this seems a lot easier than anyway.
Depends on which direction you go.
Which direction, up the face or around the back, right? But I think it illustrates something very important, because we tend to get so caught up in what other people do that we forget to go do our own. And that to me is the most opportunistic thing that we have as a society, as people. Utilize the tools that exist for our benefit, but don't be afraid to go out and make something and do something. And that was the goal. Like, I told my family, at the very beginning of the year, my wife and my kids, and I said, "What are your goals? What do you want to do?" And they all said, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to be able to, my daughter was, I want to be able to walk without pain. And guess what? She just got released yesterday to be able to put full weight on both legs. And, like, she still has to have crutches, but that, like, steps, we work towards something. And they had no idea.
Don't know she had surgery. It wasn't that she's.
Yeah, that's true. But I've mentioned before that she's had, the rollover accident, but I think that my goal this year was to write a book, and it was in my head. It was a straw man version of what I wanted it to be. And I'm now proofreading the final part of that. And my wife said to me when I told her, I said, because I didn't tell anybody either. I kept it completely silent. I told my family what my goal was, and nobody had any idea I was even working on it. And I told everybody I had finished it. And my wife goes, "What are you going to do now?" And again, my mind just unlocked, and it was, now I know what I'm going to do next. And so it's rewarding to experience of the moments of just saying, I'm actually here. And now you're putting a plan together. Like, what am I going to do now? I'm going to go. I mean, if you do rim to rim, dude, do not call me, because I'm going to be like, you are one of those people that can do that. Woo, baby, that is mindset 101.
Let's go do
there.
Table Rock, Nate.
Okay, let's do it. I'll do it. I really will. I will do it. Jerome, come on up when you're in Idaho. We'll do Table Rock.
So I don't know if this is the ending, but I just keep coming back to the question in my mind that I always ask at the end, just because I feel like we're kind of at a good spot that I want to hear your answer, Jerome. And the question I always ask at the end, and this can be the end, I don't know, however you want to go, Nate, but Jerome, through all the things that we've heard and kind of talked about, your upbringing, kind of who you were, those years that you knew Nate, and kind of who you are now, what would you say to our listeners of how you've been able to move forward and how they can continue to do that? Because I think we're this conversation we've had, while we're here, right? Like, you've had to move forward to get there. And you even comment about that earlier. But I want to know what you would say to our listeners of how you can continue to move forward through that timeline, right?
I get this question actually very often. How do you keep moving forward? And my response is, I just have to. My mindset is, I have to. You can't quit. You may get knocked down. You may go on side quests. I call them side quests because sometimes if they're not part of the goal, but they may help the goal because they're side quests, you got to keep going. And there's no such thing as real failure. Failure is when you just give up. So if you just don't give up and keep moving an inch is still movement forward. Just keep moving forward. There's no magic. There's no secret sauce behind it. There's no nothing else. If you can't move forward by yourself, call people to help you move forward. You are only as strong as your community around you, really.
Community's a big word too, when you really think about it. I mean, we think about the intimacy that can come from a community of your wife, your immediate family, and those you associate most often and closest. That's kind of that intimate part of what we need in our life. And then you have the broader community of the audience. And that can be big, that can be deep, levels deep of associations and the people around us. We tend to, you're very active on like TikTok, right? And I love watching your stuff, and a lot of collaborative conversation, a lot of like, this happens and then Jerome pops in and offers his opinion, which I think is a healthy world, which is what we need. And I love listening and watching. But we tend to be, and I hate it because my kids are not super active on social media. Well, my daughter is, but my boys aren't. But I think knowing that they're not like feasting for the like is really important. We have a podcast. I mean, our podcast is only as good as the people that want to be involved in it and listen to it. So if we have an episode that only has like 100 listens, which is not very often, but if we have one like that, it's like, well, that sucked. What was the breakdown in conversation? Where did we miss? That's how we're judged. We're judged by that. And then we have one that is like 30,000 listens. And you're like, whoa, what happened? What was different? It's just timing. It's all these different things that we can't control. And that's the big thing. Is I've recognized my way to move forward is to recognize that I should only dwell on the things that I can control. And you've talked so much about process and finding your rhythm and all of the things that have made you who you are today. It's exciting to see it. So that's amazing. Well, I do think this is the perfect timing. We need to have Jerome 2.0 though. I think we need another cast, and maybe we do it live from the golf course.
There you go.
Maybe that's one. We did a live. In fact, one of our greatest episodes ever was 4th of July in Idaho Falls 2 years ago. We took our mobile mic and we just recorded people.
Nice.
That thing blew up, and it was super, super fun to do. So maybe we need to do a golf one. And I joked around with Mike maybe a couple months ago. I said, what would it take to do our first Lift Me Up golf tournament, charity golf tournament?
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
I will I could probably get you some sponsorship from the company.
Hey, baby,
Sweet.
There we go.
Done.
I think between Mike's company, my company, whatever you can provide, I think we could get some sponsorships involved. So super fun. But Jerome, it's been a pleasure, my friend, and truly my friend. And appreciate all of who you are, what you stand for, and the man that you are and what you do. So with that, as we always do, we're going to close it out, but remind everybody, like, share, subscribe to this information, and this podcast helps us a lot. Make sure that we're getting the stories out, and we want to make sure more people have an opportunity to share who their stories are and what they are. So with that, we'll see you next time, everybody. and have a wonderful, wonderful week.
This has been Lift Me Up. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe so more people get the content. We can't wait to be back for the next show. But in the meantime, find us on Facebook and Instagram at liftmeup.podcast and the website at liftmeuptalks.online.